There's no second best. By becoming rich.
Take all your money, buy Bitcoin.
You can wake up every morning and say GM.
GM. Today is Friday, 27th of September. Daily levels. Let's fucking go. Alright. Got a alert on the dollar late last night or overnight. So there's the rate cut level. So the dollar is reacted by failing to get above and is now consistently trading below the level at which the Fed cut rates. That's important because it seems like the market is picking its direction and is expecting a weaker dollar policy with the rate cuts, which should lead to easier conditions, and so on and so on. It hasn't like broken down yet, and is still near previous support, you would call it, but certainly seems like it's going to go at least below 100 on the index. And what I would watch for with the dollar as it comes into that resistance is potential for some kind of rally, maybe towards these trend bands. So I think my guess would be the next couple of months we see a weaker dollar and we see that correlate into stronger asset markets like Bitcoin, etc. And then maybe after the election there's a little pop in the dollar and then continues down. I'm looking at that from the perspective of, is it going to go higher time frame? Is it going to break these lows? Is it going to come back in and retest that trend and then confirm it and go lower? The grinding down towards the election makes sense. Then the rally after the election makes sense in two ways. If Trump wins, people expect a weak dollar. But remember, every currency markets are the same as crypto. Not always what you expect to happen happens. Quite often the opposite can happen just because of positioning. And then if Harris wins, well, same can happen, I guess. There's no real reason why it couldn't happen as well for her. I would have less of an opinion on that. But anyway, that's the dollar. Starting with the dollar for some reason, because it was on my screen. Bitcoin next. Bitcoin is looking fan-fucking-tastic. So we actually did not stay below 65 into options expiry. It actually got back above, which is why we're going so pumpy right now. Bitcoin's just mega bullish. Nothing else to say about it. The options expiry was over here at 8 a.m., which is there. And by that point, we were at 65.5. Price could not break below 65. Couldn't get there. Tried to get below it yesterday. Wasn't able to. And it's just ready. It's like beach ball underwater. Bitcoin's on the way. 70k next. Unless... I don't really see much. Obviously, 69 or 68 or whatever. But I think over the next few days, it makes its way to that 70k level. And don't see a major... Yeah, I mean, I don't see a reason for it to reject, really, here. I think most of that's get priced in. Altcoins would be like the main sort of concern. But that concern, like I said the other day, when you see them like overheated and frothy, that can come later on, right? It can go like 4 or 5 more days and then you get a flush or a dip or whatever. It doesn't have to be right away, nor will it necessarily be. I thought yesterday when we were having a dip or potential dip that we could see a dip on Friday. So I thought if Thursday's false breakout had have continued lower, we could have seen a dip down and some more consolidation into Friday and then some weekend rallies, weekend pumps. But it seems like we're just going to be strong into the weekend. But that being said, look, the way I look at it is this. Get off this fucking screen, man. There's Bitcoin. Why have I got so many fucking drawings on the screen? I'm just deleting them all. Get rid of everything. Alright. It's simple. Bitcoin's breaking out above 65. 65 is the level that you want to keep your eye on. And anything back below today's open, you'll see it come down into most likely to the other lows. So what I wouldn't expect to see from here, because this is a full breakout now, right? So these are false breakouts, right? Tries to break out, false breakout as part of the reaccumulation. I mentioned this all week. It's going to compress and hopefully break out. It compressed, it's breaking out. So the way this will go is Bitcoin will either stay above 65 and just continue on, or that false breakout leads to another sweep on the other side. Should have a box. That false breakout leads to Bitcoin falling back down as people get too horny, take out those lows, and then we sort of grind on up. That could be like the October dip. If I was thinking of an area where possibly as we go into the new month, and so maybe it's going to take a little bit longer, but I would expect October to have a down wick on the monthly candle. It's only a few days away now, right? September's looking great. 3 days left. Really only today left, because, well, today and Monday. Because today you've got the Friday session, Saturday, Sunday is, kind of out, and then Monday's the last day of the month, so still some time to go before the monthly. But of course, October, you would expect to see some wick. So yeah, I mean, look, it's a great place to be just long, spot long, holding. In terms of adding, there's no real rush to add to these like swing positions. I don't think Bitcoin's going to go, again, I said, which day was it I mentioned, basically just, up, straight up with no dip, straight up with no strong pullbacks was the path I mentioned the other day, where you get to 65 initially, you reject back to 60, is kind of like the obvious one. And then I said, I did trading analysis, whatever, to keep one eye on this kind of no pullback grind all the way, because that's how Bitcoin tends to move these days, and it shuts people out and, keeps going. You're like, fuck, I've seen this before. So now people feel like PTSD of this, right? It moves up, it consolidates, you set a low, it goes above, set a low, it goes above. So instead of being bullish and just realizing this is a bull market again, fucking finally, and altcoins are showing that more than Bitcoin, you're kind of like, fuck, is this going to be this again? Are we going to get cooked again? It's like, it just doesn't matter. Just trade your fucking systems, right? But that's what makes this so good, is that you've got a really easy invalidation on any longs, which is pretty much like I would not be, don't be cute with this kind of stuff. If you're to signal to go long here, then you should be out as soon as it goes to 64.3, 64.6. Because you false breakout, and then not false breakout, right? So it false breakout actually once here, twice here, 3 times here, right? So it comes up into the original high, fails to go higher, fails to go higher, fails to go higher. It then goes higher and comes back for a retest and has held. So low time frame, it's broke out, retested. You should be looking above. And if it happens to go back down, then you shouldn't be holding it beyond this low anyway. It's literally set you an interim low structure and made a new high. Now, can it sweep down like that and still go higher? Sure. But that's not you don't trade for, oh, is there any possible way that I could be wrong? That's why you test things, right? So anyway, we've just taken out these highs so far. Some pullback would be, I guess you would expect some pullback. I really don't. I think a false breakout here would be, maybe this is more for trade of the day, but I should check the open interest as well for BTC on this push. OI divergence, let me check it on got quite a nice OI divergence though on those pushes, sorry. So that would be a short-term pullback reason for sure. So pullback into 15-minute structure. I'd look at something like that. 15-minute bands in the trend. If this is a false breakout because of the open interest, if we drop back down, just look for it to hold. and break out. Right, that'd be like your first expectation. OI price up, OI down is a divergence. There is a slight caveat to this one, although it happens before it anyway, right? Price went to new highs, and open interest by the time it got there was basically at new lows. These big drops in open interest are because of options expiry, like I mentioned, 8 a.m. UTC. See, the drop is exactly at 8 a.m. That's because at options expiry, some hedge positions. So remember I told you, market makers have to hedge using futures. So they'll have closed the hedges out. Doesn't matter if it's long or short, it's just positions closing. And so overall seems fine. OI divergence. Would have one eye on that, but that just keeps it really simple. The positions built above here are what you'd be looking at. So positions built from there, from yesterday, and that's your bearish target. If this is a proper false breakout, it'll just go back down to where that impulse was from yesterday. Quite obvious, right? Moves up, people get too long, comes all the way back down. So levels I'd watch, daily open, and into this gap here and into the 15-minute bands. If we go to 65, 65.2 and hold, bullish. If we go any lower than that, to me it doesn't matter. Anything below that, anything below 65 in the short term is going to most likely lead to a move down into this gap. And then from there, you've got a potential of going all the way down to there, to where you have a false breakout on the upside, down to the range and sweep the lows. That's not something I necessarily expect to happen really fast. Although, I say that, it's all about momentum. So Bitcoin has momentum as long as it stays above 65. Remember the last couple of days I've been talking about, there's like signs of altcoin froth, there's signs of Bitcoin open interest building up, 62.5 is getting defended. All of that is endlessly bullish until it's not. Right? Positions building is bullish. Open interest rising is bullish. Open interest rising faster than price is generally not bullish. All right? Not in every case. But don't be afraid of open interest rising. I'll take you back to an entire bull market. Open interest rises all the fucking way, as it should. Right? Then it gets bad, gets overheated, whatever. You can see especially here. This is like your telltale sign in March 21. It went up 14% open interest increase from the March highs to the April highs. Price was only up 4%, right? See that? Big increase of open interest into the highs. 4% up, 14% up, boom. And after you saw that first flush, you should be like, yeah, that's it, we're done. Now, and then you had the big OI divergence across peak to peak. This is again, second major red flag. Price down, price up to new highs from 65 to 69. Open interest significantly lower, lack of participation. But seeing open interest rising, like we did here, is not a bad thing. So seeing open interest rising here is not a bad thing. Again, it's the rate of change that matters. And even though we've got this slight OI divergence here with a little bit of a wipe this morning, don't forget that open interest was getting ahead of price above these highs anyway. So that's actually keeping it more in line. And from this local low, Bitcoin's price is up 25%. And the open interest from down here is up 27%. 26.7. Not major froth. Altcoins, yes, definitely potential. So what does that mean? It means we are going to go higher as long as momentum is there. So that's why you look at these things and say, where does momentum wane? And we're seeing the beginnings of a potential false breakout over here at the moment. Momentum waning would be, for me, losing the 65k level, losing the daily open, and definitely losing this. You could wick down into this gap 64.9. If we start to trade right down below there, if we trade down to, in fact, I'll leave the exact trade idea for trade of the day. I'm going to do it on Bitcoin and on a couple of alts, but you get the idea, right? So, open interest build up. Let me make it really clear. I'll just mark it like this. This is like your line in the sand. For me, at least. So below here, OI becomes a problem. For Bitcoin and for alts. You understand? It's fine when structure is good. It's fine when we're bullish. It's fine when we're developing, consolidating, building, accumulating. That's all great. If you start to fall down below these levels into here, then guess what? At that point, Bitcoin is no longer going up. It's in fact going down. It has lots of gaps below. We know lots of positions have built below. We know there's liquidity below. So the incentive is always going to be there for the market to flush. And because open interest is built up, that means there's fuel for the move. That's what open interest is. It's fuel. It's not, oh, these longs have to get nuked. No, we could go to 70K before there's a nuke. Right? Like open interest was going crazy at some stages all the way back over here. If you remember. We had crazy open interest on some of these moves, right? Especially like here. Open interest was really high there and alts were getting frothy. And yet Bitcoin went from 63 to 69. And what happened? Flush. And then it took out those lows. So we broke out, went significantly higher, flush, took out the lows. That remind you of anything? Right, we've broken out. The blue horizontal line is that same equivalent. It might just go FOMO grind and then flush them. And then we continue higher. So don't get caught shorting this, trying to like fight the trend. And that's it. GM. See you on Casual Fridays, 4 p.m. UTC. And on the trade of the day next, flick over. And I'll lay out some specific trade ideas. GM.